Today I'm going to be talking about Randy Kraft. Randy Kraft was born in 1945, and his sisters were really the ones that always made sure he was okay and basically took care of him. And his mom and dad were around, but I feel like his sisters more took care of him. And they would say he wasn't easy to take care of. He was hyper. He was a type of kid kind of always on the go. Well, one time he fell and he broke his collarbone. And then the next time he fell and he hit his head and he was unconscious for a little while. He had to go to the hospital. Well, in school, he was very passionate about politics. And people would say that he was very passionate up to the point like he would get in arguments over it. And a lot of people would say he was very quiet up until you started talking about politics. He had 2 boyfriends that we know about. And both of the boyfriends basically would say that they would bring other guys home and that Randy liked Marines. That was kind of the guys that he went for. So Randy's second boyfriend was also a lot younger than him. But when they first met, apparently Randy thought he was older than what he was. There was a 13-year-old boy that he had run away from home. And he had seen Randy with a cigarette. And he went up to him and he asked him for a cigarette. So they got to talking. And Randy asked him if he had ever been with a girl before. He said no, because he was 13. But also keep in mind the kid's age and the fact that this was the 70s. And people didn't worry about that stuff as much as what we have to now. Back then, there wasn't much of a worry as we have now. But he went back to his place. He went back to Randy's place. And he got the kid drunk and gave him some pills. He didn't know what they were, but he took them and they were making him sick. So Randy gave him more pills, telling him that they would make him feel better, that he wouldn't be sick. He also showed him inappropriate videos. And the kid would say that these videos, that Randy was in them. Well, once the kid became really out of it, Randy sexually assaulted him. And the kid had to go to the hospital, get his stomach pumped. But he never told what happened because he was 13. He was scared. So it would be years before he told what had happened. Randy's first known victim was a Marine. And people that knew him would say that he just seemed, from the trauma that he experienced as a kid, that he seemed like a lost young man. He had been through a lot. And Randy would end up killing him. And basically, like all of his other victims, he would throw them on the side of the road, the freeway, and he would just push them out of the car after death. And what's so sad is that one of the victims was getting ready to basically move, and his girlfriend wanted him to come back so she could go with him. So he was on his way to pick her up when he got a ride from Randy, and Randy would torture and kill him. And one thing about Randy was that what the police were confused about was where he was actually killing them at. Because keep in mind, he had a boyfriend that he was living with at the time. But the way he was torturing his victims, the police knew that if he had to be killing them in a place to where no one could hear them scream. Because obviously if you're being tortured, you're going to scream. So that's kind of what they were confused about, as to where was he doing it. Because like I said, he had a boyfriend that he lived with. Well, his boyfriend would say that he knew that Randy could get angry, but he didn't think that Randy would do something like that. It's like Randy would get angry, and there was one time that at a party, Randy had got very angry and started throwing stuff and all that, and the next day wrote a note apologizing. There were two boys that they were at a bar, and these boys were really young. Well, Randy, like he would do, he invited them to hang out, and like I said, they were young. So they went, and as the boys passed out, he threw one out of the car, and the one that he threw out of the car would actually live. The other one, though, wasn't so lucky. And the boy knew obviously who they were with, so that he was able to tell the police. But Randy would just say that he just ended up, basically, the boy wanted to leave and he dropped him off somewhere. And after that, he said he didn't know what had happened. So, the thing about Randy, though, the victims would be found with a lot of drugs in their system because Randy would always use pills. That was how he got his victims to, basically, they would come with him because when they were at the bar, he would put something in their drink. Like, there were two guys that were at the bar, and witnesses had said they had seen the two talking to Randy. Well, they went with him, and their bodies would be found tortured, and he got to the point where, I guess because at this point he was starting to be afraid that the police were going to catch on. But also, one of the reasons the police didn't catch on that easy is because there were two other serial killers that also were killing at that time, but not using the same complete methods as Randy. Because Randy would like to torture. The other two more would shoot their victims. But I think the problem is that they were all three killing young boys. So I think that's where the confusion was as to who was who with them. So Randy took a cooling off period. And after the cooling off period, he would go back to killing again. And same thing he would do. But this time, because he had went so long without killing, they said it was worse because he added more torture to the victim. And the friend said he was with him and that they were at a bar and he got drunk. And he said so he had fallen asleep on the couch, and when the friend went back to check on him, he was gone. Randy also was getting to the point where instead of just taking one, he would start taking two. He would take two victims. And when it come to Marines, if there was a Marine, he would always cut off their hands. But if they wasn't a Marine, normally he would leave their hands alone. Well, The police one day stopped him, and he was trying to get them not to go to the car. Well, they went to the car and they seen a man sitting there, and at first they thought he was alive. But as they went to the door, they realized he wasn't alive. Randy had killed him. And so they arrested Randy, which is where they found a card, and it's why he's called the scorn card killer, because in the card he would name his victims by their nicknames. So he would give them nicknames. He was arrested and he was given the death penalty, and he's still alive today at 80 years old.